Today, I am very happy that my dear friend Cayley Vos, is with us today. What's interesting is we're both in Southern California, but we met at a conference in Florida, and I happened to see his name tag said a city in Southern California. I said, "Hey, well, we should talk," and that was our first point of commonality. But you can always tell someone by their energy too, and he had that smile, that beautiful smile, and a great energy about him, and so he became very approachable. I didn't know that he was of similar mind, but often people of similar energy are of similar mind. So we got to talking and we became really good friends about marketing things. And then we discovered some common passions in personal growth and communication. His name is Cayley Vos. We both studied Christopher Voss, the FBI hostage negotiator, which has two S's on his last name. But Cayley has a passion that he shared with me for creating spaces that people really enjoy being in. And that's something that drives his interest in real estate investing, something I want to dive into with him today and talk about a particular deal he did that his dad actually told him not to do or advised him not to do. We're going to get into that. So, Cayley, welcome, and tell me how, or tell us, tell all of us how did you first get started, or how did you first get interested in real estate investing?
Thank you, Sonny. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. That's definitely who you are, and what a big part of what's driven our friendship over the years, and as well as our same similar interests. Um, and real estate was something I kind of grew up with. My dad was an architect, but also he just really was a kind of just do it yourself. Our house was continuously under construction. Basically, every room was redone and remodeled over. My time there and even beyond. So, talking 30 years of going through it. And so I've literally lived and slept through remodels. So that helps a lot dealing with looking at houses and seeing not just potential, but seeing going through the process, which can be a little daunting with when you're looking at bare walls and studs and bare floors and wires hanging out.
Well, I'm looking at a stud right now. You were expecting that one.
But but
We have terrible jokes here. At least I do. Um, so it sounds like you have been into not into construction yourself since you were a kid, but when did you start learning construction? Because I know you've got those skills.
um, just tagging along, really. Just following along, and my dad picks up a hammer, I pick up a hammer. Just or pick up a 2x4. I pick up a 2x4, and some of my early memories are just walking around job sites that he had, and me just this little tiny thing climbing over these stair frames, or walking through the framed walls. Um, and actually, a regret is I didn't really push harder. So I was in it, from day one of my existence. But I could have really pushed harder to actually do more. Actually do more of the stuff and um, finish work, drywall, plumbing that he did virtually every weekend. Um, but I guess it's a lot of it was sort of osmosis. Um, and and so that's something that I try to share that and help people that haven't grown up with that. They get scared, thinking about like an empty sink, or an empty hole in the wall where the toilet should go. When you first see it, it's very daunting, it's scary. You don't know what to do, which piece goes where. Um, but it's part of it's just like being able to trust the process and knowing what to do. So hopefully I can help. help assuage some fears when going through those some scary remodels of a home.
Definitely helps to have those handy skills. Where along that journey of learning those skills did you actually become interested in potentially becoming a real estate investor?
Um, well, again, they my family basically had a rental property, but over the decades they had several, and I would go and work on them doing not huge things, but lots of cleanup and small parts. So I was just always in it. Um, and so it was just kind of a natural thing to do and enjoyable. I enjoy having a place, creating a place people want to be in. A place that's nice and bright, and they can be comfortable, and then makes their mood better, and is easy to live in. Easy to cook in. Enjoyable to sleep in. So it's a lot of it's a lot of fun. It's not really much more work to create a space that people really enjoy, um, but it definitely produces it can produce a totally different result, and not just one that gets a higher rent, but something that people take better care of. It rents faster, and oftentimes can rent a lot longer. So you can very likely get better, more stable tenants.
Well said. It's pretty clear that you actually care about the tenant's experience. What was it that happened in your life that made you finally decide that, yeah, I'm going to use these skills and this interest I have to do my first deal, whatever kind of deal that was in real estate?
Um, well, the first one was a house in Portland, and that kind of fell in with a family member, able to buy it from them, and got you know the financing was a lot easier, and basically didn't have to go through a realtor.
Portland,
Um,
Oregon.
Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and so it was just a time of just really serendipity and opportunity. And that's a big thing. If you see a deal, you really really feel it. It's usually a good thing. And back then I didn't know anything. I didn't know cap rates. I didn't know metrics. I didn't know but I knew it was a great location. Um, and it's the city had stable city, good employment, lots of high paying jobs. So um, I didn't expect to make money, for a few years, but I knew that it would be a good long term deal. And that's exactly what happened. It did not make money. It actually went down. It went below um, what we paid for it. In 2008 crash, but then it's gone way up since then, and uh, and it's been a great place. So
And that's a place you
um,
still have.
yes,
Nice.
so kind of by the worst, or kind of the worst house in the best locations, was some advice given to me that I took to heart.
Sage advice. I was just talking with my other friend Jeff on the first episode of this channel, and he said the same thing. It's advice he got from Robert Allen, but it's been sage real estate advice for many decades for whoever first had it. I mean, it's been true. So that's great that you put those skills to good use to make that house into something. You mentioned, and this is how I found out that you were into real estate. You mentioned your deal in Reno, um, which
Yeah.
had lots of twists and turns. How did you first get the idea to go to Reno for a house? And what time period was that?
It was right before COVID when I bought it, and total chaos, absolute, uncertainty. And I remember, standing on the street because you couldn't go inside any restaurant, talking to the realtor and doing this deal, and him saying, it's ours. And then, it's like, oh, oh crap, now I gotta actually, get this cash and wire it in.
You had a partner
Um,
out there.
and I have a buddy that lives there, and he's way better at construction than me. He's done it, basically as his profession for decades. So he's just uh, yeah, super talented, super good, and able to deal with pretty hefty things. So it was a triplex, um, and it was a full remodel of 3 units. So and they had everything. They had, one of them had a bunch of cats that lived in it and pissed everywhere. So, and it was carpet, of course. So that was like, this insane, smell, and that it drove off a lot of buyers and drove the price way down. Um, and it was one of those things, where it's pretty uncertain. You're buying this place with this cat piss stoked carpet. Are you going to be able to make it, get it out and then make it livable? And we did. Um, and yeah, just more things. Like every appliance ended up crapping out. We had to replace. Tons of plumbing had to be redone. Um, Basically, the electrical in all 3 units was fully redone. Um, yeah, kitchen's gutted, bathroom's gutted. Yeah, floors. Yeah, basic new walls, new drywall, and two of them. And it's like, we're both business owners. We're both entrepreneurs. We've started different things, and the only way to do it is to start. So if you just have to. It's like a business. When you start something, you pull the trigger, take the leap, and get into it, and with a lot of work and passion and research and funds, you just make it, and, force it to go through, make it work.
How did you decide on that deal versus others that you were looking at, including others here in Southern California or elsewhere? And tell us
Yeah,
about what you told me about your your dad, what he said about it.
yeah. So my dad, he's done this for his entire life, and he just said, well, that's not you shouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And he actually kind of told me that about pretty much every place I've ever looked at, even the Portland house. And he just said, it's not, it's not a good deal. And I don't, and I never, yeah, I don't really know quite why, because he did his own deals. But so I went into that, with him, saying it might not be a good idea, but then he ended up, saying, well, whatever you need, I'll support you. And most of it was over the phone, but he did end up, coming down a couple times for a couple week work party, which was really cool and really special. Um, and getting to work on a project on a house, it's a total physical thing, sweat, literal, sometimes blood, and so doing that with a close buddy and the dad, and people and care, like, and friends with and care about, um, is is a big part of the experience, at least to me. And Reno is a very unique city. It's directly across from San Francisco, so it's really bringing in a lot of kind of the overfill of people that just can't afford the Bay Area, don't want to be in the Bay Area, want to actually own a house. So it's gentrifying very, very rapidly, growing super fast. But it's it used to be a casino town, and now it's turning into just a regular sort of um, kind of a suburb in a way of the Bay Area, um, in a very good way. And um, one nice thing, we know California regulations pretty well. The Nevadas are much more relaxed. And you can, it's very easy to do things there, and you might be able to do things without talking to the city first, as long as you know what you're doing. And you might be able to make things just move faster, um, without crazy regulations and people coming and checking on you and making you do extra things. Um, and taxes are like 1/10 of what they are in California. So it's just it's much easier to cash flow and much easier to do any renovations or any you know upgrades that that it might need or you want to do, which makes it speed is more fun.
And given all those advantages, tell us about the various challenges that you had along the way to make that work. You mentioned the state of things when you got there. That's pretty daunting. And what else happened with everything that you think others would be uh, happy or fortunate to hear about, so they can learn from your journey with that deal?
Um, yeah, it was really really just. I remember what Warren Buffett said: "You'll never go broke betting on the American economy." And in the beginning of COVID, nobody knew what was going to happen. Who knew if people would be able to pay rent or whatever. Um, but just somehow just having this this faith and this goal and this idea, being able to visualize it being done and working, and having a successful place, um, was the thing that let me got me into it mentally, um, let me make the leap. So that's a that's a big part of it. And for people looking at something, and it's you definitely want to have a place that is someplace people want to be, they want to live, someplace they can envision themselves being in, so when a prospective tenant's coming in and they look at it, they can see themselves actually living there. um, so that's kind of the guiding goal throughout the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, almost every week there was something like this huge thing to get over. That we had to figure out. Like one thing, for example, is the old sewer lines are these old cast iron sewer, like just thick pipe. And of course, the new plumbing is um, ABS, plastic. So you have to figure out how to literally get this new technology into 100-year-old technology. Um, and and again, it's tricky, but there's always any problem is always a solution. And the one thing I kept telling myself is, well, this is something people have done. We're not the first ones. We're not the first ones to take this old, 1920s house and try to remodel it. We're not the first ones to try to, take this old knob and tube wiring and replace it with, new copper wiring. So it's been done before. So if it's been done before, there's a way. We can research it, or talk to the old guard, and ask them what needs to be done. Um, but there's always um, there's always a way. And yeah, in real estate's not as complex as building a car, or building a computer. So it's definitely something that you can learn, or hire people to do some things that you just you know can't do, or too nervous to try doing.
You weren't out there the entire time though. You were partially in Southern California at times and managing remotely with your friend there, and then going back and forth, right?
um I did, yeah. So I'd come back, come back to the family in California for a little bit, but I was there the majority of the time. So definitely there, come back here for you know week and a half, and then go back out there for 3 weeks, a month sometimes.
And where were
um
you staying when you were out there?
Out there with my buddy.
Okay.
So I'd stay at his place. um
So
and
he was definitely a key figure in this whole thing. Obviously, he had the skills, and he was also helping you stay locally
he had a,
without large expense.
yeah, and had a truck, which was huge. Making making friends with the people at the Home Depot Pro Desk um, was definitely a plus. So we would go in, and it was very easy to get help, or get special parts, special, whatever the parts are we needed. I swear we went to Home Depot every single day. I don't think there was one day we did not go to get something at Home Depot, which maybe the next one might be able to plan it a little bit better. But um, that's something to consider too. Wherever your property is, how far away it is from a hardware store, because you're going to be going there a lot.
That's a
So
good tip.
it's just good to know.
So is that true even if you, let's say you hired a general contractor and they're managing subcontractors, would that still be the case?
Not quite as much, because like, for example, an electrician would have a truck that would have probably 90% of the parts that they would need. So not as big of a deal, for sure. Um, but even them, there's many times they need to go to Home Depot too. Or yeah, or some other parts store.
In your case, your friend is the equivalent of a general contractor, and you were learning the ropes. Um, Not from scratch. You had some construction background growing up, but you were kind of on the construction crew with him and not hiring an external GC.
Yes, that's right. So we did that ourselves. We hired a few people to do different specific things, like, for example, to tile the bathroom, or actually, or install a custom shower, basically um, like a flush custom shower, in the whole bathroom tiled. So that was getting that waterproofed. Is it's you want to make sure you do that, because that's a big deal if you don't get that right. Um, and so that we hired. Um, Countertops was another thing that we hired. We definitely went high end high-end countertops on that, which is pretty rare for a rental. Most don't. They don't have like a high-end quartzite natural stone countertops because we put in all the units. But that was it makes a big deal that the finishes that you put in a place really can make a big deal, and they can make it last a lot longer. Some you don't, you know, you can put a cheap floor, but then it'll be scuffed up or marked up in 5 years. And so we definitely spent more money on higher end finishes with the idea that it's going to be a long term hold. And that's another part of my philosophy. Just it's basically buy and hold. So we did things, you know, anticipating it's going to be in the family for 50, 60 years. So hopefully, there's nothing beyond you know general maintenance is going to be needed for this place. And again too, 100-year-old house, it's been here for 100 years, so there's a pretty good chance it'll be here for another 100. um, so definitely true. The old buildings were just built stronger in general. Stronger brick, stronger wood, um, just built at higher craftsmanship. So that's one nice thing about working on a 100-year-old house as opposed to maybe a 30-year-old house from 1980, or 1990, whatever. Those oftentimes had pretty cheap lumber, maybe cheap drywall, and just they they may not last 100 years. It's kind of hard to know.
Well said. And that's counterintuitive for some of us who think that the newer stuff must be better because of all the new technology and everything that I assume we would have learned the construction industry would have learned over time.
Yeah, I remember one thing my dad said. He said he wishes he had access to those craftsmen that were working back in the 1900s, 1910s, 1920s, um,
Mm.
because they would just do such. I mean, they made everything. They didn't have windows. Like there was no Home Depot to go buy a window, so they just made the frame. And, they cut the glass, put it in, and everything was just made on site. Or you just make the door. You got to you just frame it up. Set the cut a door in and frame it. So everything was just they just made it, and most of it was out of wood. And the wood was higher end wood. It was old growth. Very very strong, dry, um, and the current wood, it's tough to get. The average, a 2x4 from 1920 is going to be much more solid, heavier. Real the growth rings are much tighter because it's going to be old growth wood, and the new stuff is just pine, and probably fast growth, and it's probably warped. It's probably not totally straight. Um, yeah, now now it's like, houses are kind of churned out like McDonald's a little bit. Many of them, probably probably 90% of them. So it's just something to keep in mind, if when you're buying a new place. Not that new places are bad, but um, oftentimes the contractor or the builder, their goal is speed. and it's not quality. It's not, it's not anything custom at all. And the people building it, they may only have 1 year experience instead of 30. So yeah,
Wow.
labor is expensive.
Yeah, those are some really good insights into the era that before us versus now or the last few decades. If you could reflect on your own journey with that particular deal in Reno, that triplex that is now refurbished and that is out for rent. I mean, people are living in it. What would you do differently along the way? I mean, if anything, what would you do differently?
Um, the biggest thing I think is missed opportunity. So um, this was a great one, but if I wish I would have bought three, back in 2020, 2021, and it was possible. But this one, because we basically did 95% of it ourselves, it just took a long time. It took 2 full years to do, which was basically over twice as long as we expected. So so saved cost by doing it ourselves, but it definitely took a lot more time. Um, so if I was able to kind of manage the funds and have more stuff done or more guys working on it at one time and getting it actually done faster, that would have been a good thing. So yes, it's always that. Me and my buddy, we talk about it all the time. Like, you got two hands, time and money. You got a handful of each. Which is going to weigh out. Um, and it's short term is
Like Kaylee is frozen, so we will lost you there for a moment. You were saying
um, do you get this the
you,
speed? That was
you mentioned
that
time
was that
and
was it.
a handful of
Time,
time and money.
yeah, yeah. So which one
Yeah.
is more important, more crucial, and yeah, definitely having a little, having funds, having some money makes things go a lot easier, lot smoother. Um,
Yeah, money does have a way of greasing the wheels as long as you know what you're doing and there's still you can't still go too fast and get beyond your you can get beyond your comfort zone, but if you get beyond your experience level too much, you can make some big mistakes. So it's again why it was great to have a construction partner, and then you have some construction experience, and both of you are entrepreneurs, so the very good synergies there. And you're a marketing guy, so you have a sense of what might be marketable, and you also have a passion for people living in a place that they genuinely enjoy. So there's a number of factors that made this project really come together in a good way, even though it took, like you said, more than twice as long as you thought, right?
yeah. So I guess the biggest thing is, there's always things that you don't know how to do. And I knew going in it was going to be a big deal. Um, I knew that it was really stretching my comfort zone. It was really more than I'd ever done in the past. Um, and it was just, it was for us a monumental task. But I also knew we'd get it done. I just knew that we had the fortitude, the willpower, just the stick to itiveness to get it done. And it's like what Tony Robbins says. You burn the boats, you're going to make it happen. You're in it, and that's part of the thing is you can't just stop. So we're in it, and then when you're in it, you've got to finish the race. You can't you can't not. So that's the biggest character builder and wealth builder tip right there.
That's huge. What other advice would you give to someone who's considering doing a deal like that or considering doing their first deal in real estate?
Um, the inspect house inspectors are pretty worthless. Um, if it'd be much more beneficial to have a contractor walk the house with you. Um, they're going to see stuff. They're going to tell you stuff. A good one, one that's not, and that you can find ones that are, genuinely trying to help you. But yeah, the inspector, that's it's really a waste of $1,000. It's not a waste, but having an actual contractor or even like an electrician or someone just to walk the house and just to look at these specific things, look at the if any leaking pipes, if there's any obvious holes or leaks and moisture areas in the walls, any leaking windows, um, any potential shorts in the electricity. Those are the things you need to see. And the inspector probably not gonna. Yeah, our inspector missed. You know, he found little things, but he missed um, a lot of big things, which again I knew I figured would happen, but that's just a big thing. And I guess the other thing too is just don't if you're going to buy real estate's like it's you want to get your hands dirty, a little bit. You've got to do something. It's um, if you're going to call someone to have every little light bulb changed, you're not going to make any money. Um, so um, so I would say just um, somehow embrace the actual physical work and just um, jump into it, and you'll be a lot more more profitable, but connected to the home too. The more you do, the more you're connected. The more you understand and kind of get a feel for each unit. My buddy would sometimes he'd sit there in the middle of the house, and there's like wires hanging, and there's no lights, and we've got trouble lights on stands, and there's no plumbing, and he'd look around, and he'd say, the house is talking to me. What does she want? Tell me what she needs. Tell me what she wants. And at first, I was, thought he was, just kind of goofy. But then I really saw what he was saying, because each building kind of has the own way that they're put together, and the way that you can fish plumbing in through the walls, or set lights into between rafters, or put in cabinets, whatever it is. Um there's a there's ways that it can be done a lot easier.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I feel that, even though I'm not a pro at all at fixing things, it resonates for me. It's a great tip also about the contractor. They look at this stuff all day and they fix things for a living. So it makes sense that they would be able to notice things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, and find yeah, and find things that you if there's something you can't do, definitely hire it out. So we had we were lucky to find a great electrician, really cool dude, really like him. So he replaced the main panels on all three houses, which was um, which was absolutely huge. Basically you're talking about 70-year-old electricity being upgraded. That was just a major thing right there. Um, and then the HVAC. I made a mistake on the first unit, thinking I could do it myself. So I did. I put in a mini split unit, put the copper line sets in, and then it just never worked. It just would never hold a charge, would never cool and heat consistently and with the right force. So we're gonna have to redo that, and it's gonna be about $5,000 to redo that.
So
That
that's
we
something
we just
that's
did.
still pending.
That's still pending. Yeah, so that's
Wow.
another debit. It's got to be done.
Deferred
Um,
maintenance is the term.
yeah,
So,
depreciation is great. It's a great
yeah,
benefit of owning real estate, but there's a reason, that depreciation does have a side cost, when things need to be repaired or replaced.
yeah. And so your triplex is actually three separate units that are not attached, three houses.
Yes,
Wow. Very
yeah,
interesting.
three
Yeah, I should have
three
asked you that
separate
earlier. Thanks for sharing that.
three separate houses.
What kind of deals are you looking
What
for now? And finish your thoughts. Sorry, I interrupted you.
um well, actually, one thing which we did the first one and redid the bathroom. And I said, "Oh my God, we're not gonna do this in the second one." And then we went to the second one, and it had a Jack and Jill bathroom. So basically, between two bedrooms, each bedroom door went into the same shared bathroom, and it was kind of this corridor. So we ended up walling it off and having one bathroom attached to one room, and then adding a second bathroom in the closet of the other room. So we took the closet away, added the bathroom, and made it a two-bedroom, two bath. And that was huge. That basically let us get, I don't know, easily $300 a month more in rent. So a lot more upfront cost, but just having it more ergonomic, better place for people to be. Um, it just was a total game changer. And it gets tenants that would never be there otherwise. So the first tenants we got, they were roommates, and they never would have taken it if they had a shared bathroom. But they specifically said that having those, a separate bathroom for each room, um, made it something that they wanted to do. So yeah, so the final way that the house is used by people is the biggest criteria. Um, and now, well, definitely would do more. Yeah, absolutely would do more. Not ones that needed like a total full gut remodel, but would absolutely look for more multifamily units. 2 to 3, 4, 5 units for sure. I mean, in Reno, but also in Los Angeles. Living here, nice to be able to actually live and go home at night after working on a place. That would be really like a dream kind of situation. So
Compared to having to live in Reno with your buddy for 2 years almost,
yeah,
and then
that
come
was a lot.
home to the LA area. Wow. So your buying criteria is 2 to 5 units. 5 units often having commercial financing, so we do have to be careful about that. But um, 2 to 5 units in LA area or in Reno. Any other criteria?
Um, well, sort of in LA, kind of the South Bay. That's where I live, and it's where I'd like to be. So that's a spot that I'd like to. Um, yeah, would be nice to be in. Um, and unfortunately, kind of a lot of people feel the same way. So it's a pretty um, pretty crowded area, pretty high competition still, even now. So it's a very in-demand place, but that's where I'd like to be.
Yeah, you're right. The market has held up extremely well here in some cases, still going up in certain pockets. It's been pretty amazing to see. Cayley, how can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Um, Email or call. My business website. It's netpath.net. So .net, NETPATHS, .net. And the email is just cvos at netpath.net. It's the best way, um, yeah, look me, phone number as 310-372-3086.
Okay, and I'll make
And
sure to put
always
that below the video. Always
always
looking to,
looking to
always looking to
partner,
partner.
always looking to
Okay.
partner. Absolutely. So,
I'm keeping that in mind, and I hope anyone who watches this is also keeping that in mind because Cayley is one of my dearest friends. You are one of my dearest friends, and I know that if you were to work with someone, whether it's me or someone else, that you treat them well and you'd make a good partner in various ways. Aside from all the skills that we've talked about that you have, just as a person, your character and how you treat people, I think would make for someone who among and amidst hard times, you'd want to be a partner with someone like Cayley.
no, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, Sonny. Um, maybe, maybe we'll end up on, some project together. Put your tool belt on,
Maybe you'll end
get a
up
tool
on
belt
a
on.
HGTV TV show or A&E or whatever. Have your own show. The 2 year flip with
Uh,
Cayley Vos. Okay.
yeah, never ending story.
Thank you so much
Um,
for being with us, Cayley. And for anyone watching, I hope you all go out there and do some real estate deals. I'm Sunny. This is Cayley. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, Sonny.
Thank you, Cayley.